get stupid. I shoot an arrow like Cupid. I use a word that don't mean nothing, like Luke did. I sang on Do What You Like, and if you missed it, I'm the one that said just grab them in the biscuits.
Our brethren are already in the field. Why stand we here idle? What is it the gentlemen wish? What would they have? Is life so dear, or peace so sweet? Has to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? Forbid it, Almighty God. I know not what course others. As for me, give me liberty, or give me death.
Psychically, I'm very well endowed.
I want to know what you're thinking. There are some things you can't hide. I want to know what you're feeling. Tell me what's on your mind.
Hello to all the hypnotized out there. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the rabbit hole. This is my new show, What's Next, where we look at past what is and try to decide what's coming. What's more important is the future. We know the present is screwed up. Okay, if you want that, you got the FNT, you got that whole entire ecosystem that's complaining about what is and making a lot more money than I will be on this. But what we're looking at is to the future, looking for future trends. We're looking for future developments. We're looking for what's next, because eventually what's next is going to be now. And so here we're going to try to prognosticate a little bit, look at the trends, look at what's coming down the pike, who's the mover and shakers, try to give you get you in on the ground floor on the people who are going to be the next big movers and shakers in this community. I got one comment already, Mr. Jared Brinkley. Jared Brinkley in the house. Hey, Jared, what's up, dude? Well in the bushes outside the house, eavesdropping since I'll be listening. But have a great show, man. Excited for this topic. In the bushes outside the house. Who you stalking, Jared? Who you stalking, man? That's creepy. All right. Well, we've already, determined the other night the dude is creepy. But anyway, so creepy Jared. That's what we'll call him, creepy Jared. Next time he comes on, I'm gonna have to get the right opening for him. Anyway, he's a baby face and got family of 5. So yeah, he is a little creepy though. Seriously, Jared, you're creepy. All right, dude. Anyway, actually, Jared gave me the idea the other night. We were doing the show on. Hey, what's up, Michael Bancroft in the house? Hey, sir. If you want to come on, dude, I will send you a link. What's up, Nicholas Greer and Bogan? What's up, Crom? Welcome, man. Hey, dude, if you want to come on, dude, I will send you a link, man. Anyway, as well, so here we are. Actually, let me just go ahead and all right, this is so all right. I will actually reserve the right to let people on. Oh, about to start work. Okay. Well, enjoy your breakfast, sir. I hope I live up to it. Work. All right, pin message. All right. Okay, so that's for anybody who wants to come on that has an opinion on this particular situation or this particular Amazing Gaming is here. What's up, my friend? What's up? Welcome to the channel. Welcome to What's Next. All right. Now, but this whole entire show is going to be about future trends, about what's coming, not what is. Okay. And I think a lot what we see currently in our small community here, who are currently the civil war that's going on, which is totally ridiculous. And by the way, the mainstream is loving it, because we're letting them up off the carpet, kids. We're letting them up off the carpet. We had them on the carpet. We're all combined. We're all together. We're all making a big move. And then suddenly, oh, well, let's all get butt hurt at each other and throw DMs around. Yeah, that's a great idea. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about what is currently. I'm going to talk about what's next. And Mr. Jared Brinkley, the guy who was in earlier, talking about being in the bushes or whatever. I'm not kidding. He's in the bushes outside the house eavesdropping. So, yeah, creepy. Very creepy. Anyway, but he was on my show the other night. We were talking about digging up these public domain characters and giving them new life, and how this is an opportunity. Yeah, this is come on. Well, I was going to stream on Instagram, but Instagram signed me out. What the hell? I'm just going to set that up right before. Suspect automated behavior on my account. No. I can't believe this crap. Oh, well. Alas, we were going to let me try to fix this right quick, guys. I was going to stream. Let me try to stream on Instagram here. I had it set up and everything. Give me 1 second. Audience public. And next. Okay. Get the streaming key. And let me look at this right quick. All right. I'm determined we're going to stream on Instagram today. All right. Edits. Oh, says I'm live. Oh, it says I'm already live. Okay. All right. Never mind. Says I'm already live. Okay. All right. It is what it is. That was awkward. That was a lot of sound and wind signifying nothing. Anyway. All right. So evidently I'm already on Instagram. Good deal. Hello, Instagram people. Anybody that watches over there. I'm not entirely sure how to even monitor that. But welcome. All right. So I guess it'll show up on my viewer count, but I don't know how I could even determine if they're over there. But I had a guest on today that was due to come on today, but he was called into work. Edwin Acevedo has a comic coming out called Bloodbone. Just did a trailer for it. That's just how scattered I am right now. But he Bloodbone. Whoop. Work. Ugh. All right. Anyway, but he basically he is what he is basically pushing is an Ashcan for a longer work that's coming. And I've seen Jared Brinkley, the aforementioned creepy guy in the bushes, said last night, or on that show we did the other night about public domain characters, that he was planning on launching a Ashcan for his comic and kind of filling out the interest before he went to the longer work. But basically giving it away for free and letting people see this is something they want. What's up, File 13? What's up, man? Good to see you. And so with Edwin doing what he's doing and Jared doing what he's doing, oh, holy crap. I got a guest we haven't seen in a while. Mr. Pixel Trader. What's up, dude?
How you doing, brother?
Greetings. Welcome to the show.
Yeah. I figured I'd pop in. I had a few minutes.
Hello. All right, good deal. So what do you think about the Ashcans? What do you think about people using them to kind of like get people interested in their projects or as advertising?
It's interesting. I'm not sure how I feel about them yet. I backed the what was it? Psycho Killers, and I like that.
Right.
I like the proof of concept on that one. That was pretty sweet. I don't know if it would work for every book.
Yeah,
that's the hardest thing, man. Like Ashcans used to be
right.
something that you would just kind of give away, or you would just like.
Well, that's the old that's what they used to do at comms. That's where Ashcans were originally created for, correct?
Kind of, yeah. They would just kind of test out something and pass it around to see what people thought of it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So selling one as a kind of a lead into crowdfunding, I don't know, that it's tough.
Yeah. Joe Sontag did it for Reaper Destroyer. I actually got that one, but he was doing it through it's basically sending $5 through PayPal and he would send you the Ashcan or something like that. Pretty much just the price of whatever the shipping was. Yeah. But I never heard of Ashcan being monetized until recently. Right. That's a relatively new phenomenon. But yeah, so Joe Sontag did that, and then his when Reaper Destroyer came out, it went through the roof. I mean, it's one of the bigger campaigns I saw last year that wasn't part of the X Pro ecosystem. I'm sorry, X Mainstream Pro ecosystem. They're all pros, because they're all paid for the work. But the X Mainstream Pro ecosystem. So that's relatively new there. He was the first one I saw that actually hey, you want to see this project? Send me the money for the shipping, and boom, I'll send you a book. And it's mostly black and white. So it was low production cost for him, but he gave people a preview of the book, a brand new character no one's seen before. And I think this might be a trend. Give people proof of concept that this is indeed being in production, and this is indeed this is what you'll get, kind of a preview of the characters, preview of the world, kind of get you into it. Something that maybe can be added to packages later on.
That's definitely an option.
Right. It gives you bigger merch packages, stuff to put in merch packages too. Now, I've also heard of doing it digitally, sending like a digital Ashcan previews. Raiden Radio did something like that, but I think he monetized his also. Your audio's okay, yes sir. All right.
Just making sure. So I've seen a few things done like this.
Yeah.
I've also seen a few places where people have just taken the PDF and posted it for like $5 to kind of test out the market as well, where they'll do like a preview for however many pages, like 30, like the movie, even the first book, and they kind of test that out, and then they go on and do like a full on like trade or something size type book that way. Any way that you can get your content out to people to get them excited about it, more power to you. And if people are willing to pay for it, that's even better. I do wonder though, like in the situations where you've got a character that's brand new and you want to give people the first appearance of that character. If you're doing an Ashcan, technically the Ashcan is the first published version of that character. And so what incentive does somebody have to back the first book? If they're really, I know it's really only a speculation market type thing, but there are still quite a few people that are part of the speculator market. So, man, that's tough. It's hard to say. I would be, I don't think I could do it persanally, but I understand why people would want to do that, just especially because it's such a process, man. Like if you go out there and the thing bombs and then you've invested so much time and money into it, then and the concept just didn't work, then that's tough. But there are also other alternatives too. I mean, if you didn't want to print it, you could always just do global comics or something like that, and monetize your digital edition or give it away for free or something, and just test out the water that way.
Gumroads or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a possibility. Also, it occurred to me that a good way is if you had like a limited cover that was only on the Ashcan, it wasn't on anything else. That way, it would make the Ashcan a commodity. That if you have it, you have it. If you don't, you don't. And it would also give the Ashcan value, not only as a preview. Oh, and as for money, it's agreed with PT, and it makes it harder to grab a wider audience, including people who aren't regular floppy buyers. Right.
Hojo.
Stop being a fence sitter, Pixel.
Not really on the fit. Well,
yeah, Hojo's a full speed ahead. Either do or you don't.
Yeah. I wouldn't do it, although I might publish my book.
So he's not on the fence. He's not on the fence, Hojo.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it. And I wouldn't necessarily recommend people to do it.
Well, I know that...
should get off the pot.
Right. Yeah. Well, I know that EVS, he uses Ashcans to fill out his merch packages. Chris Tamlovic, he said that he would, he responded to my earlier text. It was like, he said that he could see them being added to merch packages to show off the next book, which is also what John Malin does with his At least he did with the graveyard
Okay.
shift. Last graveyard shift I got. Actually, the last
Sure.
thing I ever got from him. But
Okay,
so I mean
yeah,
that's
I can
that's a
kind of see
possibility
that.
too.
Yeah, as a
Of course,
marketing material, definitely, I can see that happening.
yeah.
But just as a standalone product, I have a hard time like throwing much money at something like that.
Mm. Right. I just said, I know where you stand. Somebody could keep the chat going and have the guest on the toes. Oh, okay. Well, I appreciate you making that sacrifice, Hojo. Anyway, well, I think the bottom line is we're gonna have to find new ways to skin the cat. We're gonna have to find new ways to reach the normie audience and audience at broad, and having something in your hand, maybe for cons and things like that, which is what they were used for initially. A cheap version of your like a few pages of your book that you could hand out at cons, and if they wind up in the trash can, the ash can, as it were, you didn't sweat it. They're like usually, kind of like black and white versions of mimeographed or whatever, which is how Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles sold theirs. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that's when people first saw them. It was as an ash can. I can see if you've already established it and come out the gate with that ash can the way it's presented now. Oh, okay, gotcha.
I think the biggest issue or the biggest difference is that a lot of the ash cans and stuff were the 90s.
Right.
And so you're looking at a whole different ecosystem as far as how stuff was delivered to people. Whereas nowadays you have digital distribution, and you have the opportunity to provide this stuff in multiple formats without having to necessarily resort to a cheap printed solution just to get your book out there. I mean, the internet completely upended the game there. So it's kind of hard to really say that a ash can is the solution for this type of stuff now, but there are opportunities similar to an ash can that you could definitely take into consideration.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, Crom's got an opinion on this. As always, I think you'd be better served if you did a page of full production color, cold open style of book. This is basically a trailer you're putting in front of people. Oh, okay. Yeah, treat it as a trailer. That's a really good idea. Let's say you want to know what this world's about. You want to know some of the characters in it. You want to kind of get a feel for the book. Here's a cheap 8-page book that's gonna launch you into this world, launch you into this, and maybe even put a new piece of work cover on it that's not available anywhere else. That might be worth a sale, to get your name out there, to get your world out there, to get people like, hey, this bigger work is coming, but if you before you shell out the money for this right here, here's something cheaper that at a lower price point to say, maybe this is something you want, printing costs went through the roof. It'd be justified. It's unnecessary expense at this point. Right. That is true. There are a lot of acquisition tools you could try. The real trouble is that independent comics have been a bit stuck in the same techniques. Right. Yeah. Independent comics has definitely been stuck in the same rut for a little while here. I think the crowdfunding model has kind of like almost reached its nadir. I mean, it's kind of gotten to the point where it's only tenable for people who are already established. There are people who already have a product out there. Early on, people were willing to take chances. People are willing to, invest in what might be the next great creator. Narwhal got in on that. Vaughn got in on that from Rising Again Comics. People like that who were brand new to the space, brand new to the place that people hadn't heard from, but who had a really cool idea, a really cool IP, maybe a real good, cool art style, and they managed to get some play and get some space. Alrighty. Got some conversation come over here. At this point, if you're going to do 8 pages of concept, then release them online, see if people respond. Right. And first taste is free. True.
Get them hooked.
All right. Great Pixel Digital is a great place to do that without taking a printing hit. There you go. Here's my plan and reasoning. I've been told by successful people to never launch a campaign until at least you have 100 signups. Do a pre-campaign campaign going on shows to sell signups. Oh, okay. Well, what do you think about that? Like having a Ashcan to encourage people to sign up. Say you sign up, you get the Ashcan. What do you think about that?
Sign up and get a digital Ashcan for free. I think it's the way you could do it. Just collect names. Yeah.
Right. Part of marketing, right? Well, we don't really talk about marketing around here. We don't really talk about, how to get people's eyes on our products. And so to kind of find out, to try something new, to get out into the space and see if you can. Go ahead, Crom. Please do. Hop on, dude. Welcome to the place. There you go. All right, let me read this right quick. Sign up and get a free 20-page PDF of this comic, full color, and if it shows people a protagonist and antagonist, my writing and the art, this will hopefully build interest in me and the world. All right.
If you got the finances to be able to fund a 20-page PDF, go for it. I mean, at the low end, you're probably looking at $400, $500 for colors alone. I mean, it's tough. You got to figure out what your budget will allow to be able to do that. But yeah, it's cool.
Greetings.
Welcome on, Crom. What's up, dude?
Oh, just hanging out on a Monday morning. You started talking about it, and then I was like, okay, I can't just keep typing because now I got to start ranting, and you can't rant over typing. One of the things, I don't know how many people pay attention to, like, there's so much mass marketing talking about this technique right now that I think it's worth exploring for the independent side, which would be quite a few people recommend, like, if you're going to sell a course, that you break some piece of that course down, usually the front end of it, right? You're kind of pulling the 101 portion of that course, and you break it into, like, call it 6 emails, and you put that you can put it into like a convert platform, like ConvertKit or whatever, and you get a sign up, and essentially those people get 6 emails in a timed fashion. That could be like every Monday, something like that, once a week. So something like this, if you were going to do like an 8-pager, an interesting thing to do might be build the same structure out where they sign up. So they're getting into, you're getting their email for the campaign that will eventually hit them. And they get, in return for that sign up, whatever the cadence is, whether it's weekly or maybe you do it every day because you want them to actually read it. You give them those 8 pages as 8 emails that they get over, or whatever size you're going for. But you basically break it down into like a subscription to an actual comic. They get it on a certain cadence where they see each page, and you just tell them a story in that window of time. And if they get to see the art and they get to see a taste of the story, and they don't really have to do much other than that first sign up, I think you're going to get a way higher conversion rate off of people getting onto your campaign. So that's one potential tool.
It makes a lot of sense.
I ran into a couple issues. No, it's cool. I ran into an issue with my signups where I was doing promotional emails coming every so often, and it was actually I was having people drop off my mailing list because they said I was emailing them too much. There's got to definitely be a happy medium in there, and if you are offering something, that definitely helps because they're anticipating this email coming with a feedback or some kind of payoff for it. So but finding a happy medium, like maybe a couple pages at a time, or
set the table for
external.
them, where you actually tell them up front, like when you sign up, this is how you're going to get these emails. Because daily is like, that's a machine gun of email to the face. But if you tell them, do you want it? Or I mean, it's even something that there's options out there to set it. They choose the cadence, and so maybe they want it every day, maybe they want it every week. This is the kind of stuff that I think independent comics needs to be experimenting with as acquisition tools, right? Mm-hmm. Because there's so much of this going on in other business that's not happening here.
Right. We need to find new avenues. We need to find new methodology, because the old style, the thing that we've been pushed, or the thing that we've been pushing, like, get on streams and get your face out there, build a channel and things like that. That's not become tenable for a lot of people. And there's a lot of people out there who just absolutely can't go on streams. Like Hojo can't build a channel. He basically is the perpetual guest, and he's managed to build a not. So maybe that model's going away, especially with YouTube doing all the shenanigans they're doing right now with the shorts and pushing shorts and things like that, which aren't creator friendly. They're platform friendly, but they're not creator friendly. I saw a video on that last night, and it's killing the platform right now. It's killing a lot of creators right now. And so that model, the live stream model, is going away because YouTube's killing it. So what's next?
What's funny, because I don't know if they're killing it. They just never fed it, right? And it makes sense that they never really gave it its due, because they can't make the same kind of money and the same kind of they can't use the same kind of analysis that they do on pre-recorded that they can on live stream, right? They can't say, hey, we're going to put this, we're going to advertise with this, we're going to put these guys on your live stream, because they don't know when you're going to say something horrible and then that advertiser is going to hate life that they ever came on your stream, right? I don't think necessarily the streaming is going to die. I agree with you that like the whole like short thing is a nightmare. And like Bancroft's an interesting example of like somebody who has seemingly had a huge success with the shorts he's created. And it's translated to, what I can tell, almost no subscriber effect whatsoever. And not a surprise. Like from about 3 years, I quit about 6 months ago at this one company. But for 3 years, I was working at a pretty popular, I would call it a media company, but it wasn't. It was more like a wine learning company. We were trying to get live stream going. And we're talking about a group of people who had, their site had 250,000 uniques a week. So 1 million uniques a month. And trying to get 100 people onto a live stream was like chewing glass, right? It was brutal. And it's because the platform doesn't use any of the same tools to like bring things up to the top for live streams that it would ever use for any of the pre-recorded stuff. So it is a struggle. I'm mostly saying like, don't give up, because it's a very powerful tool to meet with your audience and to have a very personal relationship with them, which is powerful. But as an acquisition tool, as a way to grow brand, it's not great. Bam. Dropping that. And really, if you're going to hear me say a lot of stuff, that I have a particular bent, and you've probably already heard it a bit, Cooper, that I'm all about acquisition. Like that's what's going through my mind now for all the independent comic people. It's like, how do you
have to be
more customers? And how really, this is the question, I think, even like, we don't need to get into the Eric July EVS whirlwind, but even those guys don't really seem to be thinking about, how do I get the non-comic buyer? How do I bring in, like, I have a few friends who have never bought a floppy in their lives, but they like graphic novels. They're into some of the graphic novels and some anime stuff, which to me, I'm like, okay, there's some percentage of them then that could be drawn in if some kind of funnel and or pipeline was built to appeal to them, and that's just not really happening.
Yeah, agreed. And I read a book on the funnel stuff. Actually, I'm still in the middle of reading through it, and some of the stuff applied, but it was interesting, like looking at how marketing is done online, and just well, after you start reading the book, you start noticing how much of it, everything you see online is funnels. Like one way or the other, all the marketing that's happening, you're seeing it happen. So being aware of that and being able to harness it, I think is going to be a huge thing for a lot of these guys. But some people just they don't have the patience, and I think there's a good opportunity for somebody that is marketing minded to be able to develop something like this, at least a blueprint or something, or even a business around it where they have.
That's actually what I'm doing. Not to pat my own back, but toot my own horn. But because part of, I think, what you're talking about is the struggle of taking mass marketing truisms, right? Like things that huge businesses have been doing since time immemorial, but then translating it down to like Cooper, you're a great example. You're one guy, you're working on this in the time that you've got. How do you take any of those tools that they're talking about for building a lifetime value cycle for a customer or an acquisition funnel or any of that? How the hell do you take any of that and translate it down into what you can do in the like 15 hours that you've got in any given week to be successful, right, in this business? And that's where my mind has been going. And it's part of why like Axe and I were talking about it with you, Cooper, and we were talking with John a bit, and it was like, okay, somebody's got to come into this space and start disassembling some of this big machinery and make it down into like, what can one person do in 5 hours a week that has, obviously not the same effect as like McDonald's, but still effective at bringing in customers and demonstrating value, because it's going to be all about demonstrating value. And we're entering into a time, especially with AI, where the amount of shit is going to be so high that, if you can show even a little bit of like value, uniqueness, like distinctiveness in that world, like in your product. And I talk about it that way in a very kind of clinical fashion product. It's a passion for a lot of people, a comic. But if you can figure out the ways to do that amidst the garbage pile that will certainly is already rising, I think that's going to be the way through, right? The way to succeed and cut through some of this noise.
Right.
I've been ranting. I told you I was going to be ranting.
What do you call the cone? Was it? Oh, go ahead, please. What do you call the cone? I think it's the cone,
the funnel,
or the funnel. The funnel.
Yeah,
the funnel. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, the funnel. And I mean, this is
explain that concept, please.
It's a bit of a tired cliche, but they still use it and they still talk about it because it works. So essentially, when you talk about funnel, that shape is the wider at the top, right? So you are essentially targeting the wide audience, and as you bring them in and you bring them down the funnel, this is when they talk about top of funnel content, middle of funnel content, bottom of funnel, they are talking about getting someone from not knowing who you are to a sale. So it is very focused on selling, on making a sale. I think it's wiser at the independent level to think of it, to think about the lifetime value cycle. In other words, not so much just the purchase, but also how does someone become, like they talk, they have all these anagram shortcuts and I was going to say anagram. I'm like, it's not an anagram. That's when you mix the letters up. Initialisms, like AIDA, right? The awareness, interest, decision, that all those things, they're all about taking people from who don't know you and where are they on the process of going from learning who you are and whether you have something valuable for them, down to like, oh, they know who you are now. They know what you're selling. They understand it, and they're deciding whether they want to buy it. And then you've closed them and you've sold something to them. I think the important thing for independent is to, yes, go through the process of like acquisition, like awareness, discovering who you are and what you're doing. learning about it and knowing whether it's interesting and in their, in their wheelhouse, their cup of tea. The sales process, which I think like that middle of it, a lot of like CG and stuff has done a lot of good work of figuring out how to close. But as I was ranting about the last time we were talking, they don't have everything after that, right? They don't have the lifetime value cycle of how do you communicate after they've purchased but haven't received the product? How are you talking to them after they have the product? And what information can you get back from them about, like, how did you like it? Was there anything that you would change? How do you feel going forward? And then after care, as it were, once they have the product and they're still your customer technically, but you've got your sale out of them, but how do you maintain your relationship so that you can get the next campaign to land with them, however long down the road? Yeah. And so it's just that when they talk about funnel, they're talking really about sales. And I'm thinking more like we got to broaden out the vision and like, the funnel is one piece of this, but that larger process of like getting people in and retaining them as valuable customers and valuable people in your world so that they're with you for life and not just, oh, you made your sale and you're done. And we were talking about that last time, Gruber, about the halving effect, right? Of so many people's campaigns. Yeah. Where they go from 20,000 backers to 10,000 to 5 to 2, kind of thing. That's all. I honestly think that, part of that I think is a bit of a, whoever was on that first campaign was not necessarily a comic buyer, which Axe, it talks about a lot. He's really on that wagon. But I think a lot of it has to do with like, how are you still talking to them through the process and communicating and whatnot? Like a good example for me, I can't remember which campaign it was, but I was like, when did I back that campaign? And I'm looking on Indiegogo and I backed it like in the summer of 22. And I'm like, where is this book? And on the updates on the campaign page, they were like, it was this December. Like it was like 4 or 5 weeks ago that it's like, oh, colors are done. They're locked in. It was going for like preprint, I think at that point, like it was getting ready to be printed. And I'm like, you didn't communicate that to me at all. I don't know any of this is happening. And I could go to your campaign page, but you're kind of making me come to you to find out about the thing I backed. And that's just bad in my opinion. Like you should be in all these different ways and all these different tools that you got, whether it's, newsletters or mail outs or live streams, or like there's a whole toolkit. You should be using it all the time to keep that communication flowing and keep those people close to the fire so that they're happy when they get their book. And it also, I think, bridges the gap of like expectation. When somebody, like when I pay for something and then I get it like a year and a half later, part of me is like, do I even give a shit? Like, and that's just me being kind of a petulant child, but that's still happening. Like I'm still doing that. Why let that happen? Right. Why do you do that to yourself? Well,
and part of that problem too is just the inherent issues with crowdfunding in general, where people don't have the funding to be able to do the book upfront to do crowd selling versus crowdfunding. And that's always going to be the case. But you do make a very good point where I agree with you. CG is very good at the middle part of the funnel, but it's the building awareness and going outside of the scope that's already kind of been discovered and like evaluated to a point to where you've got qualified buyers already kind of in this circle of all the streams and stuff that you're going to be. A lot of people haven't reached outside to get what I call the normies, or whatever you want to call them, just people that are not in our circle, whatever you want to call them. But like just anybody, the people that haven't heard about anything there's so many people that don't even know what CG is. We're 5-6 years in on this thing. Yeah. But just even indie books, there's a lot of people that don't even know there's a whole indie scene. They just know what's at their comic shop or what they've seen on TV. And so being able to somehow reach beyond the scope of what all these different shows are kind of catering to be able to get a different perspective and get in front of different people. Hojo was going actually out to stores directly and being able to do a meet and greet kind of thing and sell his books there. That's awesome. You got people that are going to conventions now. A lot of people are still going to conventions, but like Eric, the artist for Era 13L, he's a convention master. He's all over the place, and he's feeding that and getting new people to check out our book on a regular basis because he's always out there as a road warrior. Just whatever we can do to widen that view and that scope and try to pull more people in. And then, but yeah, closing the sale is a lot of people think that's the destination, but really that's just the first step of continuing that relationship with those people. And the more we recognize that, and some of these people are starting to pick up on it. And I think Kickstarter does a good job of follow-up emails and things like that. Anytime somebody launches a new campaign, you're getting an email multiple times, depending on how many of the campaigns you back, saying, hey, so-and-so just launched a new campaign. Even just that alone is a great way to start pulling new people in, or pulling the same people in for return sales. But yeah, I'm definitely interested to see what you're doing as far as building out that pipeline and really trying to take advantage of building up that structure and
there's so much technology, right?
Yeah,
so much technology available that it's like, okay, yeah, if this was 30 years ago and you're trying to do an independent comic, it's like jump in front of a bus. It would be terrible. Like it would be so hard, right? Where you're trying to get into like any of the trades and like make anybody aware. You're up against the machine, which doesn't even want anybody else coming into its backyard kind of thing. But now one person really can do all of this work. It's totally doable. It's more about breaking it down is what I'm working on right now, is cracking those processes into smaller bite-sized chunks, so that, especially like you think about as you say, the shows, any of the trade shows, any of the cons, those are great. But like, how many people blow it on letting their audience know, or letting anyone even in their audience and beyond know that it's like, we're going to be here at this time, yada, yada. Even those processes don't happen. And it's usually because it gets on top of you, right? There's just a lot of work, and it's like, have you nailed all those things? And it's something as simple as like a messaging calendar for your year that you just work out, that would go a long way to keeping you on top of, when do I let everyone know I'm going to, SakuraCon or whatever I'm going to do? And Bob's your uncle kind of thing. So,
right.
Yeah. It's not an easy fight, but I think we can level the field a little bit.
So what do you think about Ashcans as a top of funnel content?
It's interesting. Here's the one trick I would say is that
entrance.
Automatically an Ashcan, when I think about it, is something that appeals to a qualified comic buyer. So it's someone who's already buying comics and who's already likely to buy comics, because that's what that signals to them. They kind of know what this is. They know why it exists. The framing in their mind of like, what do I get out of the Ashcan is clear. If you were handing that out to people like at a con, it's interesting. Like I live in Calgary, Alberta, and we have a comic convention now. It's been going now for like a decade. I don't know. I've only been to 2 of them. It was one of those things where I'm like, this is absolute chaos, which is probably true of every con. But I remember walking through and getting a guy just handed one to me.
Yeah,
and
pretty much.
And I mean,
beautiful chaos.
I think I got 15 of them handed to me, but this one always stuck in my head because his sort of bark, his pitch was, do you want to read about the robot that wears pants? And I'm like, I'm sorry. And he handed it to me, and I kind of read through it, and it wasn't really my thing. But when I read through it, I'm like, oh, I know why you just said that to me, because it was this sort of noticeable little thing in the character that it was a robot who wears human clothing. And I'm like, right, but you just created a frame for me to look at this, and that's it. I was stuck inside it. And so when I was like, that's all there is to this, that he wears pants, which probably wasn't true, but because he said that to me, that was sort of where my head was stuck. I just didn't really give it much consideration. And that boils down to like, when you're talking about the mentality of approaching people in a broad way, trying to appeal to the broad audience, to like someone who doesn't even know what a comic is, that's stupid, but someone who doesn't collect them, who isn't versed in what's going on in the comic world, I think that's not a bad place to always be, to always be kind of speaking from. Because the people who do know will probably forgive you that you're talking to them that way. They're like, oh yeah, he's trying to get the book going, but I'll try it out. I'll read the book. So when I think about the Ashcan, to come back after I've meandered off of your question, when I think about the Ashcan, I think it like to use the funnel metaphor for a second, it's too far down because it's down in the qualified buyer zone already. And it doesn't necessarily get you that broader, less educated about comics, less aware, that level of customer potentially. So it's a lot of money because you have to print this thing, and it's a bit of a flyer you got to do. Right. You got to take a flyer on it. That I don't know if it's the sort of the best punch for what, for the time you spend on it. Whereas like the email idea or something along those lines that's like always functioning, like it's out in the world kind of doing its thing. And you really, the nice thing about these platforms is that you don't really have to like babysit it. It's designed as like a launch, like push a button launch kind of thing. It's just pulling in emails. Something like that might be a better use of the art, like the time you take to make that art. In other words, I don't think making the art and using it to advertise is bad. The medium, I think, is the question. Like, what tool do you use in your toolbox with it? And in this case, I think a digital approach of some kind would probably be more effective.
Right. Yeah, I agree. What's interesting is an observation I had at Comic-Con last year. Eric and I were standing at a booth. We were watching a guy just sitting at the corner of his table, and he was talking to the people as they were coming by. But instead of trying to pitch him his book, every single person he walked by just, would you like to know more about my comic? Would you like to know more about my comic? Would you like to hear about my comic? Which is all. Never once did I hear anything, even would you like to know about a robot with pants? That would have been so much better than what this guy was doing. And he did this for hours, and a few people checked him out, but most people just ignored him. Had he gone with some other approach, like just start talking about it, just telling a story and like being animated, and it doesn't matter who he's talking to, just start telling the story or some kind of spiel or something, anything beyond, you want to read my book? Yeah. Like anything like that would have been much better for him to at least start to try to get people's attention. And whether or not he's handing out physical copies or he's handing out a postcard with a QR code or something, whatever you're going to do there, and just do something. Don't just stand there and repeat the same process.
Well, appeal to them with something useful, right? And entertainment is useful. That's it falls under that umbrella. But if it's, do you want to see my thing? It's like, well, you're not considering them. You're not giving them. You're not thinking about why they're walking around in this gigantic room full of booths in the first place.
Exactly.
So
call them out. Hey, red shirt guy, what kind of comics do you like? Maybe they don't like your type of book. You say, well, I've got this story about this. You may not be into it, but you never know. You may check it out. Or, my buddy over here's got that.
What have you already picked up?
Sales techniques. Yeah.
What are you already picking up? Like, you're here to get.
It's definitely sales techniques. And it's definitely something that's learned. And a lot of people, especially, I've noticed I'm this way as well. I'm fairly introverted in person until I get to know people, and then I'm able to handle it more.
I think the vast majority of comic people are.
Yeah, I think a lot of us are. That's why we stay inside of our houses and
read comics.
So it's snapping out of that and engaging people, because as an inverse, a lot of times introverted people have a hard time not engaging when somebody engages with them. They can't pull themselves away from the person because they feel like they're going to be
locked in.
So if you lock them in, at least you can get them. They're going to feel more inclined to, let me take that so I don't hurt your feelings and so I can get away from you. And so at least they'll have something in their hands. But I had this one guy hit me up and he said, "Hey, do you want a free comic?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I like free comics." He goes, "Just scan that, put in your email address, and you'll receive it." And it was just one of those little things like, "Here, I'll tell you a little bit about the book, but if you want to check it out, scan that and you get a free copy of this book." And so that's what I did. I checked it out. It was something like the Java Detective or Coffee Detective. No, Espresso Detective. Anyway, regardless, it was about this dude that drank a lot of coffee and solved crime. Yeah. And it was interesting. But I just, any type of sales technique to get somebody to convert somehow is much better than just standing in the corner and yelling at people. We lost Coop.
Coop gave up. It's too hard.
His internet gave up on him.
Probably.
Poor guy.
It's
you bring
funny.
up a lot of good points.
So the industry standard of conversion rate, is like a healthy conversion rate is 4%. So
Yeah.
when you think about that, like it's probably a nightmare for people at times, but that doesn't just mean 100 people have to walk by your table. It means you have to talk to 100 of them. You actually have to engage 100 to probably get 4 of them.
Yeah.
So, and you would hope at a con that's a little different because they're a little more qualified, as far as they came to the con. Like clearly they're already interested in what you're doing, but it's probably not going to be wildly more than that, which means if you want to get 10 people to have got on the book and bought it, you're talking to at least 100. So you got to have some strategy for talking to those people when they come by, getting them to engage, getting them to at least hear you if you hope to ever have that conversion. So you're back, Cooper. Excellent.
Sorry guys, I forgot not to use Opera. I forgot not to use Opera because the StreamYard's nerfs Opera, and I was like hearing every other word, and I was like reacting 40 minutes behind or something. So I went ahead and opened up.
It made
Chrome
you appear
and, like,
sage, so that was good. Seems wise.
Yep. There you go.
Thinking of these ideas you're saying.
Well, that's what I was doing. I was listening on the actual live stream on my phone to try to keep up. So I was like, this is ridiculous. So I opened up Chrome and went through there. But anyway, so I was like, I'm just gonna have to do it. I'm sorry, I've just got to do it. But yeah, so when I talk about different ways, of the first step of marketing, the Ashcan is like what we're talking about today. But what do you think is next? What do you think is the new first step to marketing that people need to? I believe you said something about like the email is way more important than people realize.
It's
you're saying that
email
is
a huge. It still wins so much, right? It still kills so much. Like it is one of those channels that can do a lot for you. So I wouldn't sleep on it. I think the other part of it is like when I look at like this is going to sound real bad. I'm going to come off like a complete asshole right now, but I might as well just say it. I haven't looked at a single campaign that I thought had the information ordered correctly. And a lot of the time it does this. It's kind of the same problem, actually. It's a more sophisticated problem, but the same problem is the guy, do you want to read my comic at the con? Right. The very first thing in most campaigns, usually, people will have a trailer video, and I could talk for hours on trailer videos. But there's a trailer video, and then it immediately says, this is the 77 or whatever page comic from this artist, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, hold on, you haven't won me yet because you haven't told me the story. You have not told me a story yet about what the hell I'm looking at. So you're trying to describe what it is. And I still am not on board with like, what is it? Like, what's the story here? Why should I care? Hasn't been answered. Right. And then describing what it is once I care makes sense because you're letting me know like the nature of the product. When I was working for the wine guys, it was a real problem because there was a lot of assumptions about the audience. The audience already knows X, Y, and Z, right? So we don't necessarily have to say that to them. And shortly before I left, in the last few months, the mantra I ended up in is treat these people like they don't know anything. And that's not an insult. It's don't make the assumption. The analogy I used was imagine walking up to a storefront and it says Gliss on the title, like the storefront's actual sign. Gliss. You look through the windows and there's a bunch of succulent plants and a statue of a skeleton and an easy chair. And you're like, should I go in here? What the hell? What do you even know? Right? Like you don't know anything, right? Like you're still in that phase of what is this? Before I walk in, what is this? And so that's kind of it's a bit of a weird analogy to try to throw out. But the point I'm making here is the first thing I would say to anybody right now, if you're thinking about your marketing, is go back to the place of this is a absolutely tired cliche, but every marketing professor in the world has said this to their freshman class.
Okay.
What is it, and why do I care? And that's a meaningful question to ask, even if you're past it. It's always a good question to come back to, of like, if I showed this to, you could probably imagine someone in your life where you're like, that person's not a comic collector. They don't have any of the context. So if I showed this to them, would they know what I'm talking about? Now, there's a certain threshold of people who will never know what you're talking about. But if you have that in mind, that's the place to start. And it will be the story. That's what will capture people. It's why, it's bad to say that movie trailers now do that, because they don't. But good movie trailers, right? They weren't trying to tell you it's a movie. No. They were trying to tell you a story. Right. And if they could get you to understand the story and understand the tension in that story right away, then they were really interested. Something was going on and they wanted to know more. And then, the end of the trailer is it's in theaters on November, the 29th, because that's a piece of information that they need. But it's more just about like, order your information in the right way, so that, and I think in doing this, you're going to be able to, the people who are into comics and who understand it, they're just going to be like, oh yeah, I'm in. And the people who aren't, you're still considering them. They're going to be probably your lowest conversion, trying to get people who don't really buy this stuff regularly. But if you can get a handful of them, that right now, I think, is what is killing all comic books, mainstream and independent, is that the acquisition of non-comic readers, people who don't read comics, is totally broken, right? It used to be done a certain way, and they got rid of that, and there's never been anything to replace it.
You're talking about like the spinner racks or in the magazine stands. Yeah. We've all been talking about that. Yeah. And there's no browse for the normie to just happen upon it like it used to be.
They can't just be walking down the street and being like, oh, maybe I should get a paper, and then they're like, ooh, what's that cover? Like, and just because that's how it begins to sound like Hannibal Lecter. We begin to covet with our eyes, right? We see something, we're drawn in, we read a little bit. Like that whole process still needs to happen, but there's just not really much of anything doing it. And that's where the email thing and all that, that's what all this is going towards, right? Is trying to find
when Diamond Direct Distributors pulled everything into like comic book shops, they basically put us in the dead end because when you have one destination, if that destination goes away, you're dead. And so that's something to talk about for the future. What's next is finding a way to put it back into these browse areas, getting stuff back out on the magazine racks and spinner racks, and put them. And people are working on that right now as we speak. People a lot smarter than me. Joe says trailers are overrated, but he had a hell of a trailer. His trailer put him on the map, so him saying that is pretty hilarious.
I think that's more. Sorry.
Go ahead.
All I was going to say is that I think it's one of those things that there's a lot of the tools in a campaign and in people's brand growth strategies right now in CG, where they're like, you just got to do this. And you're like, right, but if I don't know why I'm doing it or what its effect is, like what does that tool do, then people make stuff just because they think they should, only it's not made to serve the purpose that you would have it in for. And then it's nothing. It's 2 minutes of video at the front of something that doesn't do anything to help anybody. So
well, I'd be willing to put my campaign up to let you evaluate it live and crawl through.
That's a spicy meatball. And let me just say this: I'm not here to crap on anybody's work. Like that's the first.
I know you're wanting to help. And this the only way to help is to for somebody to bite the bullet and just let you tell me, because my campaign is pretty much following all the traditions that we know of so far. And I think it did, but whatever, Hojo. That's fine, man. We can disagree. But I think putting my campaign live, letting you look through it live, and maybe give me advice about what to do with it. I'm willing to do that because obviously it wasn't as effective as I would have hoped, and so for everybody's sake, I'm willing to have you evaluate it and take a look at it.
The other thing too is
when you're free, I'd like to.
Oh, I'm open a lot of the
ahead.
time. It wouldn't hurt probably to bring Axe in too, because the art side of it, like his visual sense is really good for this as well, and it's something he did for a long time for people.
Oh yeah.
Okay. But this is how it works. You got to make things and test them. That's the reality of a lot of marketing. Is you got to put something out that you're like, I think this is the way to go, and sometimes it's like that didn't work.
Right.
Kill it and get another one, get a different thing up, right? So,
right,
that's how it goes.
Well, I know a lot of people are just we're all like the illustration I said, walking through the yard trying to find rakes. That's pretty much what we're all doing. Whoa, that worked. What the hell? Can I replicate that? What the hell was that? Yeah, exactly, right. And I got a bloody nose, but something happened, and
learning to box
some
with
people,
your hands
I mean, they're like,
your sides.
there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
And I'd really like to start removing some of the guesswork for people, as to what's tried and true, because marketing is something that's been completely out of this community, and it's been almost a bad word, and it's like this community desperately needs to figure out how to. Right now, the marketing strategies are being set by people with a hell of a lot more resources than we have, and so everybody's trying to follow this model. When the model worked, when everybody was new to the space, and these people like rose to the top and grabbed these massive market shares of audience, and so they kind of set the pace that the rest of us, can't meet. And so I'm like, we need to completely renovate this model and go at it from a complete fresh perspective, because the people we're trying to reach out there have fallen out of comics a long time ago, or never even picked up comics. And
I
so
think there's a lot of people who could come in, though, like a lot of them that would if they knew how to get in.
The movies show that there's a huge normie market out there for superheroes. And so you see things happening that are kind of organic out in society, like Oliver Anthony went from playing into a mic in the back in his backyard to opening up Grand Ole Opera in just a few months, because something about him like resonated with people, and he made all the right moves, and he's kind of like a name now, and so these movements, these organic things happen, but there's also a way to ensure that you're set up to the point where it's possible.
Yeah. Well, and I mean the MCU probably speaks to that more than anything, where it's like, if you could have 100 million people go to the box office and look at your property, and if there's really no way for them to enter into the comic side of things gracefully, they won't. That's exactly what happened. They didn't. And so there you go. You're obviously out of that 100 million, there's only a certain number that would ever be comic people. Right. But you can't tell me that out of 100 million people there isn't at least 10,000. That seems insane. And I think it's just there's no graceful way for them to enter into the comic world. So
it's like distributors were saying to Marvel and DC, and they had this distributor conference. And when all this happened, MCU was flying high, and people weren't able to go into the stores, and weren't able to get into the stores and find the product. and they basically complained to Marvel and DC, and they're like, people were asking me for Iron Man, and all I have is this black girl named Ironheart, and that's all I've got to give them.
Yeah.
And because as soon as the MCU hit, they did something called All New Marvel Now, and they race and gender swapped their whole entire line at one time, and so when the MCU like hit and people were like, oh, I like Captain America, and then it's like, oh well, here's Captain Sam, and it's like that doesn't look like Steve Rogers, oh, we killed him off a couple months back, made him sell Hell Hydra, made him a bad guy, and anyway, and it's like, what, and so they completely totally destroyed their momentum by doing that, which in hindsight seems rather deliberate, but we won't go there. Anyway, we're looking what's forward. But we can learn from past mistakes, but dwelling on them, it does nobody any good. But so I'm willing to offer up my my campaign as sacrifice.
Sacrificial lamb.
Sacrificial lamb. So we'll do it this Friday, if you don't mind. If you guys can carve out a spot. We'll do it this Friday around 7:00. Was that a good time?
Sounds good to me. Sorry, 7:00.
Eastern.
Where
Standard
are you?
Time.
Eastern.
Eastern
Okay.
Standard. Yeah.
Sounds good.
So what time zone are you in?
Mountain. But that's fine.
Okay.
My day is pretty much open. So.
Oh, okay. All right. So it'll be 4:00 for you, 5:00 for you.
Yeah.
I think. All right.
5.
Okay. All right. We'll plan it for this weekend. I guess we'll call it. We'll come up with some pithy name for it, but we'll do that this Friday. My campaign I offer up as tribute. We'll to the marketing gods. Well, and the 2 representatives. There you go.
We'll beat it
anyway. Ready.
I'm actually looking forward to that. I'd love to see what you guys come up with.
Okay. Yeah. And we'll definitely we'll do that, and then we'll relaunch the campaign and let people take a look and say, this is what the marketing experts. This is what it should look like, and see
what we get.
And maybe we can make this. Maybe other people will be interested in having you crawl through their campaigns, and because there'll be a boost to them anyway. It'll give them some advertisement. So
I don't think it can hurt.
No. Because we're all in, like I said, we're all in the dark here. We're all trying to find our way. And here's guys that actually have experience, that are saying, hey, I'm here.
It's plenty dark around me too, but I think the key here is like, what are the tools? How do we make the tools nice and sharp so that we know what are we testing and what succeeds? And then how do we make that success?
Right.
Double it, like get it again, like recreate. That's the important part.
Right. Well, that's the bottom line is something recreation or that's able to be recreated from campaign to campaign to campaign. Some phenomenon that's because to be honest, right now the only way that these campaigns succeed appears to be if you already have a name coming in, and if you already have an audience coming in, if you already have like if you're a mainstream artist that is already on books and you come into this community, you already have that built-in displaced Marvel DC audience, and so you already get a boost from that, and that just seems to be the ones that are actually succeeding. And so how do we go from organically? It's like, this is my first book, I've not done this before, but take a chance on me. This is the premise, and this is I got a hell of an artist. I've got a hell of a premise. I've got I'm a good writer, and this is and to get people to like say, hey, what are marketing strategies to get that person into the funnel, the top of funnel, and become a customer
and start working their way down. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we'll do that this Friday. I won't say campaign autopsy because the campaign's not dead. So campaign surgery maybe.
Yeah.
campaign MD maybe. I don't know. But maybe do that. If it goes well, we'll make it a show.
Yeah.
And then
Happy
when
to
you
do
guys
that.
start up your channels and get them together, you can like host it on yours. I'll give it to you.
Sounds good.
So, all right. Thank you guys. This
Thank you.
has been this been the Rabbit Hole. Ashcan good. Check out Edwin Ace Bloodbone. The campaign is in the description. The first thing. Let me. I promised him I'd play the trailer. So let me do that. Good show. Good, nice show, guys. Looking forward to it. All righty. Thank you, Jolly Green. Thank you, man. And we will go back and we'll play that trailer one more time, and then we'll head on out. This is Edwin Bloodbone. This is for the Ashcan. It's available on FMC. Campaign link below. And Edwin's at work, so Mr. Acevedo's listening. So here you go. Playing it one more time before we go. There we go. It's not coming soon. He didn't change that, but it is all on FMC right now. Anyway, but everybody, thank you everybody for coming. Thank you, Pixel Trader, and for Mr. Crom to hop on. It's been hopefully we'll start doing more content like this because it benefits everybody. And anyway, that's been Cooper for Telepathic Bunny Comics. Thank you for coming down with me down the rabbit hole, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.